Okay, so here is the Yamaha Bear Tracker that I had taken on a hunting trip, and then it ended up not working. It wouldn't start, and when I checked, it was getting fuel and everything, and when I checked the spark on it, it was only getting like a single weak spark and then nothing after that. So there's a few things I can check, and that's what I'm going to try to tackle this time. My next hunting trip, I want this thing to work. So there's a few things I could check on this. Now when I was checking for spark out there, I was just unplugging, taking the spark plug off and grounding it out and looking at the spark. And like I said, it was just one little weak spark and then nothing. I got out here, and I think I have a coil. You can follow the cable here, and the coil is mounted right there. And I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to compare the ohm readings on a new one and on this old one and see if that's it. I mean, there could be, we could follow it down the line. We can check the coil. If the coil's good, we can check the actual electrical connections here. You can see up under there. And check the cables here. It also could be, it looks like it was dripping some gas also. But it also could be the magneto in it. So I mean, there's a few things to check on this, but for the first thing, I'm going to check that ignition coil. Alright, so you can see I'm taking off the coil. It's usually right up here under the fender on these Yamahas, on many Yamahas, especially this Bear Tracker. But you take the spark plug off. In the cable, I can feel there's a wire tie holding it up here, but there's just a couple of bolts. Alright, so I get it unbolted, and you can see there's that one wire to take off, and that's it. So I'm going to get my multimeter out and get a reading on this and compare it to the new one. Alright, so here's the one I just yanked out, and here's the new one. I'm going to set this to ohms. And let's get the primary. So the primary, you touch there to the ground point. Just a box. So it looks like I'm getting 1 ohm on the primary on the new one. Let's see what the old one's giving us. 0.9, so it's pretty close. This coil might be good. Secondary, let's see. I don't know if I can get that in there. So there's the secondary on this old one. I'm getting, you see it's the high 19.86 kilo ohms. Let's see what the new one's giving us. It's only 2.778 kilo ohms. So significant difference there. So this might be the problem. I'm going to double check. Yeah, way up there, 19.92 kilo ohms. So the primary, which is from here to here, and then the secondary from here to here. And it was way high, so this might be the problem. I'll go ahead and bolt this one on, and we'll crank it over and see if it'll crank. Hopefully the battery's not dead. So for a close-up, just in case you couldn't see what I was doing. So when you're testing this, the primary, you're testing between the base or the ground to the pole here. That's your primary. Then the secondary is going from the base to your spark plug connector there. So that's what you're testing. So primaries from here to here, secondary from here to here. Alright, so I'm going to check for spark. I took the spark plug off, and it's pretty new, and I can see there was gas on it, so I don't think it's a fuel problem we have. But let me see if I can hold this in place for you. Yeah, I'm blocking everything, aren't I? How's that? Alright. Well, you can see it's doing the same thing. You can see that one single spark. It's stronger than it was. So we still have a problem somewhere. Alright, let's keep looking. So the next thing I want to check is the magneto. And over here on this side you can see the cables coming out of here. Let me get the camera stationary for you. And so here's the plug, and I looked online to see which one was which. So the magneto, the pickup coil, you can see the color codes on this side of the cable. So the primary coil, white with the green stripe, which is this bottom one here, and white with the red, which is one right next to it. And the secondary coil, brown and black, and there's the brown and black. So there's the correct plug, and we need to check the continuity on that. So let me get some tools. Alright, so there's the plug. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. So I detached them. On this side, let's see, the pickup coil, the white and the green, and white and red. Well, of course it changes colors right here. But so that's lining up with the green and the blue and the white here. Let me see if I can get my so 0.425 kilo ohms. So 425, the spec is showing 189 to 231, so it's a bit high. Let's check the secondary. 303.5. 303, so the secondary coil, that's within specs, is 270 to 330, and I was getting what, 30, what did I say? 303. So secondary coil was in spec, the pickup coil was not. And just in case you couldn't see what I was doing, I just noticed the close-up of my knee. but you can see the cables here. There's the white and green, white and red, and then the other two, the brown and the black. So that's what I was testing. So I have to take this cover off. Looks like the cover was taken off before. Here's some. You can see I got this one second hand, and I had done some work on it before. I lost the videos. I know I had mentioned on another video that I had had a hard drive crash, and I lost a lot of video footage, and a lot of it was with this. But basically what I did, I took the carburetor off. You can see the little intake here needed to be replaced, and that seal was totally just hanging there. So I took the carburetor off, put it in the ultrasonic cleaner, and replaced the intake, and that solved the fuel problem. And it seemed to run good for a little while, but then it started getting spotty where, you know, I rode it around. Luckily I wasn't too far from the house, and it just kind of died on me. And but I managed to get it started again, got it home, and now it's doing this where it's not starting at all. So alright, so I checked that, checking everything out, and I know some of this stuff is out of spec, but just to make sure, I still want to go in here and check this switch. We're getting no spark. I mean, it could be the your on-off switch here, your kill switch. The neutral switch, which everything seems to be working, but it could be the neutral switch or the brake switch. You know, so between those three things, the kill switch, the brake, and the neutral, it could stop spark, right? But I want to get in here and make sure everything is. I'll do a continuity check and make sure all the switches are going. There's only a couple of Phillips head screws. So there's the switch. I took off the little cover plate, and if I'm not mistaken, there's actually supposed to be like a insulator or a piece of plastic underneath this metal bracket that sits down here. So maybe it was shorting out here, who knows. So what I'm going to do is put my multimeter on the switch there, and then go back and forth and check for continuity and make sure it wasn't shorting or whatever. So let me get my multimeter. Alright, so there's the switch. This is kind of cramped quarters here. I'm trying to get the camera in place so you can see what I'm doing. So there's the switch. This is off, and that's in run. So let's check it. Let's put it on run. Oh, but still has continuity. Oh, let me turn it on. Okay, so now the neutral switch is on. The brake is on. Now this should be in run position, so we shouldn't. Yeah, there we go. Let's see if I can hold these in place. These stupid alligator clips. My other leads, the probes on them, they broke, so I'm stuck with this. But yeah, there we go. So switch is okay. After it's all said and done, it still could be the CDI box, which is right down here. All that going in. Yeah, you see it better from there. But there's the box right there. So I guess I can look online and see if there's any way I can test that also. So you can see everything I've been downloading here. This was the wiring diagram, showing the run or kill switch. There's the push, neutral switch, brake switch, all that leading up to, there's the kill relay, and that all goes up to the CDI, what do they call it, CDI unit. So I was trying to trace that down. I want to see if there's any way I can check this CDI unit before I do anything. But I need to double check this because it looks like some of the color codes were different than on mine. I do have the YFM 250, so I'll see if I'm looking up the right one. But that's what I'm going to check next, because I know from what we checked here, I already replaced the coil. It was out of spec, and when I was checking out the magneto, the pickup coil, I believe we were getting 400 and something ohms, so it was a little out of spec, but the secondary coil was fine. So that's where we stand so far, is the pickup coil. But I do want to double check that CDI unit. I was online and trying to figure out a way, if there's a way I can test and see if that CDI box is still, if I can test it or not. But I ran into a couple of interesting videos. One of them, the guy, took a little jigsaw and opened up the box, because it's all silicon sealed. It's a solid, box in there, and he went back and checked all the soldering on the board and resoldered some stuff, and then glued it all back together. And another guy just took it and heated it up with a heat gun. He said just get it just hot without actually melting it. And he said that works. He was saying 90% of the time, 9 out of 10. But we'll see. I thought, well, it's worth a shot. And so let me take this off, and I'm gonna grab my heat gun. All right, so there's the CDI box. Looks like the Mitsubishi symbol on that, but I'm assuming this is still the factory one. So this is a 99 model, so this thing's pretty old. But I was looking at the bottom on this, it looks like there was, I don't know if that's something leaking out of it, or, yeah, who knows. I'll clean it up and see what it looks like inside. But before I go inside, I think I'm going to have to do something about that. Look at all those freaking little wasps on there. Holy smoke. I'm trying to work here. Oh, sorry, cat. Stepped on my cat. Sorry, kitty. Alright, so there's my heat gun. And yeah, see, I'm going to poke around in this junk and see if it's just some dirt that just got clogged up, from being out there all that time, or is it something leaking out of the box, or looks like something crystalline, like it's some broken automotive glass. You know what I mean? You know how that looks? You can see the kind of, I don't know if I can. Yeah, it does feel like tar or something. Some tar and pebbles and crap. Yeah, so I don't know how deep that goes. I don't want to dig too far. Because all this feels kind of rubbery, but all this stuff is all crystallized. Yeah, so who knows, that might be our problem. But I think I'm going to first get my heat gun and get this thing pretty hot, and then plug it up and see if it'll crank. It's worth a shot, right? You know, but so I'll do this for a while, and then come back when I'm ready to plug it back up. Alright, so I got it pretty hot. It's definitely, I can't hold on to it. And you can see here where it's starting to melt the shrink wrap here. And here on the edges it was starting to melt it right there. So it definitely got hot. Watch out, cat. You're going to burn yourself. But I kind of see what they're doing. You get it that hot, and if there's like a crack on the board or some loose solder or something like that, sometimes if you get it hot enough, it will kind of let the solder weep into the cracks, or weep, you know, melt back together or whatever. But well, we'll see if that happens. I'll plug it back up and see if it'll crank up. It'd be kind of cool if it did, but this is kind of just a short-term fix. I wouldn't trust it, you know. I don't think I'd still want to, even though if it works now, I wouldn't want to bring it out hunting, be out in the middle of the woods and get stuck, you know, and have it fail again. So it'd be kind of great if it'll start up. At least we'll know what the problem is, and I'll order a new one. But alright, so I got it plugged in. I didn't mount it yet. I just plugged it in just to see what it do. Do I have my key? Yes, I do. Alright, cross my fingers here. Alright. You're the guest, huh? Well, it's working sporadically, but I think that was the problem. So you can see it helped a little bit to try to get it started, but I'm definitely going to order a new one. Well, all right, that was pretty cool. I just heated up that CDI box, and it was definitely cranking, but it was real sporadic. You can see it with it's like it was still cut out. So at least we nailed the problem down, right? So I'm just going to order another CDI box, slap it in there, and go. But at least, I mean, the only thing that worries me when I was changed out the coil, and on the magneto, the pickup coil on the magneto was still showing a little out of spec. So, do I replace it, or should I just wait and see till after I get this CDI box done? But regardless, at least we troubleshooted the problem there and found it. And so I guess I'm just going to call it quits on this video. All I'm going to do is order the part and slap it in. But that's it. It'll be running again. So yeah, thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe and watch for my next video.